Good evening, everybody. Happy emergency stream. I know this isn't our usual Sunday series. I don't expect a big turnout tonight, but if you're watching this later on, maybe you're watching it on a Sunday. Happy Sunday, but right now it is Thursday. So let's bring this up and start the show. All right. There we go. Okay, let's see who's in the house right now. We have Stephen. Stephen, praise for those who have been hurt by the California fires. Yes, that is correct, Stephen. Yeah, it's been pretty tragic out here. I know we lost Altadena Golf Course. It's a county of LA golf course. The whole golf course burnt to the ground. I know that Riviera Country Club, where I used to work at for about a decade, they're pretty close to the fire. I know a lot of people have lost their houses, so it's a pretty tragic thing. So let's just hope, stuff will clear out of the way and these winds will die down. So appreciate that, Stephen. Who else is here? Hey, yo, what's up, Adava? I got you today. Yeah, that stuff is pretty tragic out there. So I wanted to start this show with this swing here. Let me pull it up. Okay, so this is a former coach that used to work for me. She now is at the Citrus Club. I went to go play golf with her today just to help her. She's suffering with her golf swing. And I thought it'd be really cool to show you because this is all setup based and how one can really affect the other. So it's a great opening to this just because you guys know I'm a huge fan of setup and how it changes your golf swing. So her issue was she had too much tilting at her setup with her irons, and that would cause a lot of this manipulation. She would actually increase her tilt almost like a driver, and she'd hit a lot of thin shots or a lot of heavy shots, rely on her hands and her arms. So I'll show you this setup change we made. So I'm instructing her to level out her shoulder tilt. So we can see that little motion there. So that's how she used to set up, and we got it to set up differently. Now, if you take a look, she's got a great move. She's a +3 handicap, but the move that she has now created allows this tilting to be leveled out, where the old tilting that she had at this position, she would be already like that. And that would shift her hand placement to be well out in front instead of being more connected to the golf ball. Now, I'm going to share a screenshot here because I think this is going to be really cool for you to see the before and after. And this is just the direct effects of what we changed. So here it is. Where'd it go? I can't even find it. It's up, but it's not letting me share it. I know why. Okay, there we go. Okay, here we go. So this is her before and after. So the one on the left side was her old tilting. The one on the right side is her new tilting. So you can see by changing that setup at the start of her swing, a couple of things have happened. If you notice that club face on the left side, even though they're both in the same position, they're slightly open to her spine angle. We can see the one on the right side. Look how much more connected she is, specifically with that lead arm. And that lead arm is straight down to the ground. We can see that club head matching straight up into that circle where her hands are. Where the old one, we can see that disconnection. And this, we didn't change any of this. This just happened because we adjusted her setup. So I wanted to bring this to your attention because this was just fresh off the range. I just came off the range about an hour ago. And it's just amazing that if you pay attention to your setup, things occur naturally from that position. And to let you know, she gained an extra club right away. Now, it'll probably increase even more when she gets used to the timing. But I just thought that'd be pretty cool for you to see that because this is what we're about here, is to help you understand that your setup can really change a lot of things in your golf swing. So let's go back to, sorry, my glasses. Let's go back to here. So with that in mind, let's get started. Let's see who is up first. So Adava, I think this is you, right? Let's see here. Where's your stuff? Yes, this is you. So Harrison, aspirations and current fortunes. Let me see here. This was an in-person lesson out of I live 6 minutes from the Citrus Club and she works there. We've been trying to arrange this for a while just because she's been having issues. So today was a good day. I had about an hour and a half to kill. Went out there, helped her out. So yes, it was an in-person lesson. Let's see. I'm looking for more compression, more consistency in ball striking, feel very over the top, and tend to hit high fade shots or lately thin or thin and slicing shots. Arms feel cluttered and in and around impact. And it feels like I have an open club face at impact, which results in a lot of slicey shots. So just remember, face will send it, path will bend it. So if you do suffer from slices, your path is not matching up to your club face, and you have to figure out why. So his swing thoughts right now, I'm really trying to focus on a better takeaway when my club is more on the outside of my hands and I pitch the club higher earlier. Feel My feel for this is thinking about keeping my right arm internally rotated just a little bit longer and the takeaway and hinging my wrist earlier. And basically, he's looking to gain some more compression and a lower, more piercing ball flight. I hit all of my irons high and don't feel a lot of compression into the golf balls. Misses are mainly high and right and fading off. Another major one is low and thin and right. Yes, so when you start having contact issues, it could be multiple things, more specifically with your spine angle at impact. Let's see how we're doing here. So let's just watch this first swing and see what's going on. And I know we've done some stuff in the past. It's been a while since we've seen you here. All right, let's slow it down. Let's see what happens right from the transition. A little bit of scooping, but not too bad. So, out of when you're talking about highs, like are they extremely high? Are you just naturally a high ball flight hitter, or talk to me more about the goal? I mean, how much lower are you trying to get this compression, their ball flight? See that down the line too. Yeah, inside. Have to reroute it to come back out. We do a little rerouting, getting it a little bit trapped here, so you can see the body stops rotating, and now the hands will take over. So I can definitely see some of this. Yes, very much so naturally a high ball flight. Everything. Let me put this up here. Very much so naturally a high ball flight. Everything from wedges to driver. All right, and you're looking to probably get him down. What? If you can let me know, is it like you want it to be like a piercing ball flight all the time? Because there is some advantages of hitting it high. Obviously, depends on the wind, but you can definitely get it to sit on the green softer. But right away, I do see some disconnection here. Kind of what we're working on today with the coach. So we're going to draw your plane lines just to see how everything is set up. Okay, so I didn't draw behind the ear just because you have this kind of an arching of the head. So that's your true spine angle here. And we're going to split the difference between your arches. So it looks pretty centered, which is good. You do tend to take that club very much inside. Now, once it gets inside, it is going to be slightly trapped unless you do some sort of reroute here. Not a piercing ball flight, but just a little bit lower of a ball flight. I didn't see anything about a backspin rate. Do you know your backspin rate by chance? If you do, if you can let me know if it's with a driver, what your backspin rate is, and maybe with like a 6-iron, if you know it. If not, no big deal. Yeah, so arms are definitely stuck inside. And then you have to do this rerouting motion. So you get it back down and playing pretty well. You can see it's matching the lower plane line, but you don't have much room to keep that rotation going. Like you're cramming that right elbow into your body. Okay, he does not know his spin rate. Okay, no problem. If you could, before you start trying to adjust spin rates and launch angles, you probably want to find out what they are currently, because that'll really help you out. If you really don't know what they are. So number one is if you have some sort of indoor facility near you that does have a flight scope or some sort of dynamic launch monitor, go and just hit some golf balls, specifically the driver. You want to find out your driver spin rates. Now, optimal tour guys and girls, they're between 12 to 15 degrees launch and about 2,500 spin rates. And that's about the optimal you want to get. Now, how you get to that is so individualized. I mean, all those guys and girls do it so differently, but that's what you're looking for. Let me see. Do Do you have my other down the line video? I believe I do. Let me just look at this one first because I like this view because it's actually ball flight and we can see this is in like real time with ball. So let me just take a look at this one. But you can see how right here, see that right elbow doesn't really have much room and you don't keep that rotation up. So you're redirecting it with your hands, but then your club falls below that plane again and the rest is manipulation. So I would definitely think about this first move. You know, this kind of what you saw I was working on with the coach, that pulling that club inside. That's a very hard thing to come away from because the only rerouting is to pull it back around and above you. And now all of a sudden you might become steeper. If anything, if you want to favor a loop, if I could choose a perfect loop to favor, it's more of the Jim Furyk. So you start high and you work your way back around because at least you're connecting with your body rotation. Your body has to rotate to help you reconnect. But if you start low, and if you let's say you get to the top position, your hands are very low, and you have to reroute. If you're rerouting and your hands need to go higher, and you add turn, now you're very steep. So you get to a point now when you're low, you're trying to get your arms to reroute back up top, but then you have to stop the turn because you don't want to be too steep. So this is where I would be definitely focusing. I mean, that's your cause and effect right there. You can see how much lower your arms are when they need to be. That's this top line here. Let me draw that in a different color. So your new one, your regular one is that green line. Let me zoom in. There we go. Okay, so your regular one is a green line. You need to be more towards that secondary, the small red line, if that makes sense. I feel the stalling. Yep. And yes, I feel this through impact. Yep. So I mean, you're a strong guy, right? I mean, you can see you're pretty athletic. You've got the ability to make this work, but it's just that immediate disconnection. You've already set yourself up for a loop that is going from low to high to get anywhere near that plane to get your arms to move. And you try. I mean, you can see it's trying to do it, but you know, gravity and the way you're moving down, it's going to pull your hands down more. You're good on this position, and then the club falls below the plane. Now there comes that scoop and that final little second for your hands to kind of get that club to meet that plane. So you definitely need to work more on this first move. I like your setup. Your setup looks nice. The hands look nice and natural. You look very athletic. This first move, let me see if I can figure out something here. So you would like, let me clear all this up. You would like to put a club or something. That's where you would like it, right? So let's say that's your alignment. And you want to make sure you're always aligned to your target. So if we extend this out, we can probably see your club is probably aiming right about here. So you know you've got a good target. Let's just say that's your target. You want to take another alignment rod or just shift the alignment rod further back. So you want to put it so it starts. I'm going to put a line there. Your alignment rod needs to start and continue on that same line back to here. Now your goal is to be able to take that first initial turn and match your two clubs together. So let's say this is the midway point. Let's go to your midway point that you are now. So if you go to your midway point right about here, you can see that this one is slightly inside. So it's pointing right at your target. You would like this one to match that foot line. And this will at least help you keep the club, you know, closer to your lower plane line. And then once you hinge, you know, obviously we're going to start to hinge at this point. The hinging action will take that club up and it will meet somewhere near your hands. So this midway point, you're kind of looking for everything to meet pretty close to your hands. And now you know that momentum is going to take these hands a little bit higher. So you want to feel like your hands are rising up as you turn and hinge. But that midway checkpoint is a must for you. If anything, your feel, remember, we always try and practice feel as the complete opposite. So if we redraw this line here, your feel needs to be, we're going to do this in yes. You get the favor of Barney Purple. You need to get the feeling like your club is, oh, that's not Barney Purple. Come on, what am I doing to you? All right, you need to get the feel that your club is doing this, like it's pointing left. So that's the feel. Now, when you actually swing and you capture that feel of doing the opposite, you'll probably be kind of in the middle because we always regress to the middle. So big importance here when you are practicing at home is always do the complete opposite in your practice swings, because you know when you swing and you try and capture that opposite feeling, your neurological system is going to fight that and you might meet yourself in the middle. So always practice the opposite. Let me see here. So should I have a higher hands in total? Yes, I would think so. I was always worried about coming over the top with a more elevated arm swing. So think about top of the swing to down. The hands always want to work back down. Gravity's kicking in, your rotation, you want to pull those hands down. Now, some people pull them, some people drop them, some people just let them do what they need to do. But when that club, you're feeling the weight of the club too. So that weight of the club is pulling everything back this way too. So the top of your swing, you can see your club, everything is sitting too far back. And then the last second adjustment is you now have to figure out to cross the line to get that club to point somewhere near where your target is. So you found a way to compensate adequately to this point, but now it's tragic times because you just don't have the clearance room unless you can figure out a way for your hands to move this way, but then you're stuck because you won't be able to rotate. When your hands are moving away from you and you're rotating, now you're really going to come over the top, and that's not a good thing you want to think about. So you need to go, I know sounds ridiculous, but you need to go watch Jim Furyk and you need to think that you're doing this crazy loop, and you're probably not. You're probably just going to be somewhere in the middle. So I hope that helps you, but that will definitely help your compression because now you're not going to be coming from the inside so much. You need to cover this golf ball, specifically with the irons. You need to feel like your right shoulder's covering as you turn and keep that club on plane. But because you stall out, you can't turn, your last ditch effort is to get your hands to get that club head to come back to your plane. And that's where that flick comes in. And you might flick under too much, and all of a sudden your dynamic loft changes. So you have a static loft and dynamics when you strike the ball, and that's the one that counts. So hopefully that makes sense to you. I don't really want to go look at the other one just because I think this is a good down the line for you to visualize, specifically with the angles. This angle that you took here was perfect. So do me a favor, go during the range next couple of weeks, put that club shaft down outside your right foot. Feel like you're matching that up. Do the complete opposite feel. Feel like the club head is working its way out. It's okay for your hands to get a little bit higher as long as you turn, and you turn plenty enough. Your hands are a little bit too deep at this point. You don't want it to be that far deep. You want to be right about here. So when your arms get up, they'll still be connected to your center, and you'll still have adequate time to turn and drop the hands naturally. And that's where the compression will happen. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, cool. Makes perfect sense. All right. So let's take a look. Who is next? Oh, this one I'm excited to do. All right. Signed up for Doc. I didn't see you sneak right in. Red light time. Yes, what's up, Doc? How you been? Glad you can join us on this emergency stream. I'm really excited for this one. Let me first pull up. You know what? Steven, we're going to do this after the irons because this is a great cause and effect here. So let's put some comparisons, and you're going to have to forgive me while I figure out, because these are recorded at two different speeds. So I'm going to have to sync these up real quick. So let's go right down right before impact here. And let's go right before impact on the right side. Somewhere here. Okay, good. Right there. And we go top of the swing. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's go top of the swing. And top of the swing here. Okay, so we should be good now. So let's start at the address position. And so this young lady was, all right. Okay, so this young lady sent a video 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not quite sure when. And my suggestion right away was take care of that ball position, because the ball position is going to create some havoc for you. Now we see what is going to occur. So we're going to do this in red here. And let's put a straight line up to the sky. So we see how much of that ball position is really behind her body. Now this is going to cause her to start staying back somehow, manipulating the spine tilt at the top to match that, to get her weight shift. And then she's going to either be stuck back there, or she's going to have good weight shift and she's going to have to throw her hands. So we can see as we get to the top of the swing. Now let's go. Hopefully I did this right. Okay, top of the swing, perfect. So we can see just by moving her ball position, you can see, how much more athletic and how much more centered is this one on the right side. And let's see if we can zoom in here. This one right here versus this one. So the immediate thing that I see is the arching of the lower back. And let's do this in yellow. Is this arching here? That arching is gone. It's more of a natural arch. So do you think about why she had to arch that position so far? Even with that arch, she's trying to get her upper body over that golf ball. Even with that arch, you can see the ball position is still stuck on her right side. It hasn't quite met the seam of her shoulders. Where look at the one on the right side. She is now the weight distribution is much easier because the ball position there, she's more behind that golf ball. And we can see that this arch here was pointing slightly down and this arch isn't as pointing as much down. So there's less of this like tilting, stacking, but to try and get to that ball position. But what we will not see is an immediate change at impact. And this is what I want to just caution everybody and why it's important to make sure you address this sooner than later. Because if you take a look at the impact on both of these, we can see even though she has a better body position on the right side, look at what her hands are doing. Her hands are still throwing because they're so used to throwing all those years to that back ball position. And we can see that if we keep going forward, look at the hand action. The hand is still losing so much of its lag, but the body is in such a better position. That ball position is favoring not to throw your hands. But her neurological system is so stuck in throwing her hands for so many years that it's going to take a long time. Now, we can do things to help this. Some dry swing drills you can do is at the top of your swing. Let's see if we can go to the top of the right swing here. So you would like to, Stephen, if you want to work on something with her, have an alignment rod sticking in here. So you can do two ways. You can tape it on there, or you can just have her grip the alignment rod on that grip. And what she's trying to do is she's going to try to hold this angle. And now, do me a favor, don't hit golf balls like this. She'll hit herself. This is a slow swing. And what she's trying to do is carry that angle a little bit further. So right about here is where she loses that angle. So if she goes the next frame, guess what's going to happen to that alignment rod? It's going to hit her right on the side. It'll hit her back over here. So you were trying to prolong that angle. So in this position, she should still feel like that alignment rod might be pointing to the target. And then make sure her hands are keeping up with the rotation. So the hands should be here. So we're just trying to keep up with the rotation. She doesn't have to throw her hands too early. And the reason why her hands are in that position now is, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we did a video about releasing your angles. Whenever you release your angles of your wrists, your hand speed slows down. So because you're releasing too soon, while your body's turning, the hand speed is going to slow down in relation to that turn, which is why her hands are well back over here. They're disconnected from her center because they haven't kept up with the center by maintaining that angle. If the more you can maintain this angle, the more the hand speed will keep up with your turn. And then right at impact, that's where we deliver that conservation of angular momentum. But if you don't have the ability to maintain it, where she did not on this swing, because of that ball position, she's learned to throw her hands and sacrifice on that impact position. So this is very important when you do such a change. This is a pretty dramatic change for her. I mean, we've taken a ball position that was here, and we've essentially put it over here and expected her to hit the ball correctly or more correct. And that's really hard. Her body's doing a much better job, but her hands and arms now will need to trust that the body will stay there. And the new ball position, it just needs to get used to the new ball position. So, Stephen, try that alignment rod in the hands. Do slow, dry swings. This is not a full swing drill. She will hit herself a lot of the times. So exaggerate it. So even past impact for a while, just with the alignment rod, have her hold that angle even longer and have the alignment rod point to the sky at this point, just to get her used to that right hand. You could see her right hand is so dominant. If we go to this one and zoom in real close, watch the right hand. So the right hand at this point is doing all the work. Look at that. So you see the flexion of the right hand. Boom. Look at the wrists and the forearms are really taking over. So she's right hand dominant. Nobody really flicks their left wrist at this point. It's all right hand. So we've got to just train her right hand just to slow down a little bit. So hopefully, Stephen, that'll help you. But let's look at this driver, because I think that's a good one to help you out next as well. So let's pull this in a single viewing. Let's zoom in a little bit. And let's take a look. Oh, I can't move it up. Look at this. Computer problems already. Well, we might be stuck with this view. All right. So let's draw some lines here. just to help you out. Barney Purple's too hard on this one, so unfortunately we have to shy away from Barney. Let's do some Smoking Blue here. All right, so I know last time we helped her out with her feet. Her feet were very close to the golf ball. Her rear end was sticking too far back, and she got trapped. So let's do a quick alignment check. So it's better, Stephen, but you can still see it needs to be a little bit further back. Another thing I see is she's got a lot of bend forward. Now, this might be too much for a driver. So when you bend too far forward, you also have to stand further back, or else you're going to hit the ground way back over here. So you can see that by her arms are reaching out instead of, being a little bit more natural. Now, you don't want to be straight down. There's a slight reach with the driver, but that is a lot of area to cover. So maybe a little bit taller will help her out. Because if you take a look at her shoulder tilt, and this will help you see this. So let's redraw this in red because red's a little bit easier. So shoulder tilt based on that setup, because it is so far forward, to maintain your tilt versus your spine setup with this extreme forward lean with a long driver when you're trying to swing up by getting your club path to be very shallow, it's dangerous because now all of a sudden she's going to feel like she's going to bottom out there. So if you take a look at her swing, look at what she does. So she stood up to get a more level shoulder tilt. And then from there, she's able to tilt under and she stays level to that new change. So I would recommend just looking at her top position and saying, okay, let me build the swing around this setup. So more of this setup where it's this high, and the spine will be perpendicular to that, and then her back brace line will be about here. So if we go back to the beginning, we can see how much we need to change. Now, obviously, this won't change her initial. I should have did that backwards, right? So red is bad in this case. Red is good in this case. Green is bad. So you can see we're just changing her to be more natural where she gets to the top. But remember, when you change the start, it might not change her habit to lift up even more. So this is where you have to just monitor and help her with that transition point. So maybe, stand a little bit closer, a little bit taller, feel the weight more towards her toes to get her to be centered out. Because I'm sure she feels a lot on her heels now just by looking at this. I could be wrong, but it just looks like that to me. And then just work on staying in that posture. But it's definitely a lot better compared to where she was before. So I hope that helps you, Stephen. Let me know if you need any clarifications. You got my email. If she needs any clarification, just let her know. Hopefully she might even be watching this. I need that coffee. All right. Let's see who is next. All right, Buzza. I don't know if Buzza is Buzza, you on? Oh, Stephen, up. And I was missing all these. Doc snuck in. Perfect. Good to see you, Doc. She hit a couple of drivers over that tree. Good. Let's see. Old swing on the left, new swing on the right. We move the ball more left. Yep. That's a good change. And stand taller at address. Correct. Yes. Just for the driver, the irons look really good from what you sent me. So big change. I love the change, Stephen. Good job with that. Just make those slight adjustments. Keep me informed. Let me know if I can help you. So Buzza, we did the stream on Sunday and we got Buzza's down the line. Now Buzza wants more distance. So if you take a look at where he strikes this, look at how very steep that is. We've got to figure out how to get this thing to be a little bit more shallow. And we stall out on the turn, so there's not a lot of hip turn from this point as the hands try their best to catch up. We see contact closer to the toe. Centeredness of contact can change and add yardage right away. So just by getting it in the center, you're looking at 5 to 20 yards if you hit it in the center, difference than hitting off the toe. So a simple Band-Aid fix would be to feel like you're even more on the heel to make that accommodation. But Band-Aids, you know how that's saying, right? Band-Aids fall off. So this definitely looks like some alignment issues. We can see the feet are pointing left, shoulders are pointing even more left. Hips are probably relative to the feet pretty good. So I would, encourage you to try and set up with more of a closed shoulder to line those up, because as you take that club back, you see your first move, even though you're turning, you're not really turning your hips. It's more of the upper body. So maybe engage the hips more, and you're looking for the club to work more inside. You're kind of doing the opposite of out of. This is part of what you need to feel like you're doing. So it's between the two of you. Merge the two of you together. We got a tour player. So we got to do a mind meld, Spock mind meld to do that. But definitely we got to get this thing to be more inside. So if you take a look at your face on, Do I have your face on? I don't know if I have your face on. I do have your face on. There we go. Okay, so this face on is kind of a face on, but it's good enough to see. So what we're going to look first is see where that contact is. So as we come on down, decent weight shift. Yeah, I mean you can see that. Look at the way the club it's coming off the toe. And you see the deflection. So the club deflects wide open. So you're hitting this right on the toe. So we got to figure out a way to get you to hit this more in the center. Try that setup change, for a Band-Aid for now, but really you've got to get this right hip to move back as you take that club back. So we just see some lateral shift going on here in your first part of your swing. There you did a pretty good job. So there's definitely some lateral shift there and rotation. That other swing looks like you weren't rotating as much. I'm not sure if you were playing a fade in that other swing, but for sure, you want to check the alignment, because even here you can see that right shoulder is definitely hugging over the left. So I would imagine that just a simple alignment change. So if you need to feel like that ball position, we talked about this already last time, that looks like it's too far outside your left heel. And so by doing that, you can either tilt to get to that ball position or turn to get to that ball position. And you look like you've elected to turn to reach that ball position. Now, if you have a path of your shoulders that's facing left of your target, and that club face, even if that club face is meeting your target, it's going to be open relative to your path. And that's where you get this fade, slicey, weak shot. So we've got to close that up. So second thing I want you to try and do is move that golf ball more inside your left foot to allow your path to be more neutral as you strike that golf ball, or even inside to out. Secondly, is we want to make sure that right shoulder is back as well, and then promote the turn to get your hands more inside. So this will definitely add some yardages in of itself, but also centeredness of contact too is a huge thing. All right, let's see. We got some heard. Yep. Yes, we got to mix you two together. Massive course flex from Buzzer here. That's correct. And M. McD, right? What is that, McD, right? McDonald's? You going to McDonald's? All right, Buzzer. So hopefully that helps you, and we can send me an update. We'll see how the things go. All righty. So this was the last one of the emergency stream. And we saw this gentleman hit the golf ball immensely. I think he's a +2, +3. I'm not sure if he's on the stream tonight. If not, he'll probably catch up in a little bit. But the swing is pretty solid. And we talked about ways that he could work that loop at the top to help him out. But we're going to look at the face on, because we never got to the face on in that stream. That was like a late addition stream. So let's look at this motion from the start of the swing. So what do we see off the bat? We see a lot of tilting, and hands are connected to that tilt, which is good. But we also see this angle here, forward pressing. So we have a forward press tilt. Now you see the spacing of his feet. It's nice and wide, but we see the centeredness favoring that left side. So his left side. So I would imagine a lot of the weight is on his left foot. Maybe not a lot, maybe 65, 70%, if that. So we've got kind of a stack and tilty setup with a little bit too much tilt. And then we shift our weight because we've got a weight stacked on the left side. So we see that first move, we do a good turn. We're shifting our weight to the right side. So the center of our chest now has transitioned that weight that was stored up. So we have a new centeredness. And now the interesting thing that he does is watch his upper body. His upper body stays back and increases its tilt to make up for the disconnection. So basically, if you take a look at his new centeredness, it has gone back even more. So the tilting, let's take these lines out here. So the centeredness is here, and let's draw that tilting at the start, or excuse me, at impact. Now let's go to the start and take a look at the centeredness relative to the tilt. If I can get there. This is a long video, that's why I have to do this. All right. Okay, so now we look at the tilt at the start and the centeredness. So we see his centeredness fall back to try to match that tilt. So he's giving his hands a little bit more time to catch up and release that tilt to bring his two circles together. Remember, we have two circles, right? So for those that don't follow the videos, let me just draw the two circles real quick here. So we're going to do the first one in green. We have that spine angle tilt circle. And so we have that one. And this will bring your path of your hands to be very much up. And then we also have the club angle. So we'll draw this in red. And we have the circle for the club angle. Let's try and match. There we go. Good. Look at that. That's perfect. And then we have this angle pointing down. So at some point, he's got to, connect these somehow. So if he stays in his tilt, what can help him connect it? He can throw his hands to try and get that club shaft to match that tilt. Or he can fall back and increase his shoulder tilt, increase his green line further back to now, in relationship, get that club face to now swing up, if that makes sense to you. He's just basically and that's what he does, is he tilts everything back and keeps things in perspective. So he's trying to get that green tilt to swing up. Option 2 is what some of the tour pros do, is close that gap as well. So that's the second option. He chooses the first option. And the problem is he has these weaker shots because things are falling back and he has to throw his hands at the very end to catch up all this angle. Now, I brought up somebody here. This is a good video to look at. Okay, so we see somebody with a similar setup on the right side. So we have that four press. It's not as much as his, so keep that in mind too. And then we also have his spine angle in green. So you can see the disconnection as well, but it's not as much four press as our gentleman. Here we have Ricky Fowler, who has more of a neutral setup. So we see that club shaft going right towards his spine angle. So this is one I'm in favor of most of the amateurs trying to do more of, because there's less timing of those two circles. They're going to work more as a team versus the one on the right side. There's going to be, it all comes down to your natural ability and your luck, basically. Because if you take a look at Dustin, his launch angle is actually 10 degrees, where Ricky is 13, 14 degrees. So it's, what do you want? You de-loft the club, you can strike the golf ball. And the reason why Dustin de-lofts it is, take a look at his center. So let's see what happened to his center here. And we'll see, does it fall back or does it fall forward? Where's his center? See how much more ahead of it is? So there's his center. So that's how he closes his gap. Now, the problem with that is he has a strong grip to delay the release, but as he strikes it, that's where his launch angle is much lower than somebody on the left side. Do we need a higher launch angle or lower launch angle? Average golfers have a hard time getting the ball up in the air. And that's one of the reasons why most amateurs fall back when they have their hands pressed, specifically the driver, because they need to figure out a way to add loft. They can add loft two ways. They can throw their hands to add loft at impact, or the better players hold that angle and they fall back completely to try and increase their tilting more to get that club angle tilted even more. So that's where he chose it. Now, I'm going to encourage him to tone down on that forward press. If he wants to fall back still, that's great, but he doesn't have to fall back as much now. So the less you can forward press, the less you have to do on an impact. And we take a look at the tilting. So if we erase these lines and just look at the tilting, and this is about the same. We see they both struck the golf ball. We're going to see the tilting here of Ricky. He's at 24. And the tilting of Dustin, he's at 38. So 14 degrees more tilt. And the reason he had to do that was because of the forward press. And the reason he has that strong grip is because of the forward press. He can't release the club while he's increasing his tilt so much. And even past impact, we can see here, Ricky is now probably caught up. Let's see, there's Ricky's tilt. So he's at 55, and the hands are in the same position. And we have one here that's at 77. So you see the tilting has to be enacted so much. Most of us don't have that body style on the right side to do this. It is very, very hard. You look at the amount of rotation needed. Look at how much of the lower body is rotated. We have this knee is catching up to this knee because he needs to rotate. Whereas Ricky's is just pushing and straightening out, trying to get all that angle. Excuse me, let me pull this up here. Got to change lines. Ricky's is just pulling up, straight up. He's pushing that weight through the centeredness. So the idea is to try and push the weight into this area, which is where it's the center of your swing. Where here, where's it pushing? It's nowhere. He has to rely on the tilt and the turn and the extreme connection. I mean, this is just extremely connected. Two arms dead straight. They haven't released. Look at Ricky. Ricky's got that release going on. Right hand over left. We're here. They're still the same as he was in setup. So unless you can do that, unless you have a body like Gumby, which most of us, I'd say 99.9% of us do not. So this is why I really encourage average golfers not to forward press. Now you need slight forward press on the irons, just slight. Don't go exaggerated. And the weight needs to be ahead. And I did a video a couple of days ago talking about this, how we get correct shaft lean. Let me see here. This was the Phenom, and that is glaring. Oh, you're talking about the two different swings here? Because it's pretty interesting when you break it down. And now they both work, right? They're both high quality tour players. But now you're going to say, well, which one do I copy? That's the problem when you start dissecting golf swings of this such elite level. It's like, well, which one? They both can hit the ball beautifully. They both play competitive, both made great livings on tour. Which one do I copy? That's why don't copy swings. It's like the odds of you finding somebody that has your structure, your amount of synovial fluid in the wrist, your amount of hand-eye coordination, and finding that person and emulating it, it's just, you may as well go and try and win the lottery 3 times. It's just not going to happen. It's very rare when it does. So just keep that in mind when you work on your golf swing. We have actually, I think we have one more stuck in here. Do we have it? Yeah, we have one more. All right. So this is, let me see. This is Colby. All right. So Colby, hopefully you're on. If not, hopefully you watch this a little bit later. Current issues, poor mishits, often thinking irons and often thinning. Man, my glasses. Irons and poor dispersion pattern with fairway wood. Biggest issue is driver. Used to cut the ball, but the more I try to cover and turn, the more low left my misses become. Very tournament focused, being seen a regression in my pattern reinforcements in recent years. Thank you. I hope this is the right guy. It's got to be. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's the right. If it's not your email, we're going to just assume that's your email. All right. So we see same sort of thing here. Clubs going behind the hands. How do we change that? So look at this. This is like a less exaggerated yours out of a, and there's that reroute. So he has to reroute again from the top. It becomes very steep, stalls out on the turn again, loss of posture coming on up. So, and then you see, I mean, it's just very hand dominant. There's, you lose your posture. You can't really turn because you lose your posture. So the moment of truth, I mean, there to there, there's not much going on there other than the hands trying to save the golf swing. So you can see this. It's pretty glaring once you see it in your setup. So if we draw the setup lines here, that's a pretty forward setup too. So arch of the heels. Yeah, you can see this is a very like toe based, and toe based you need to be high hands. If you want to be toe based, you got to get your hands way up over here to make this work. And we let's put a, I would say Barney purple, but it's actually purple background. It won't fit in. So let's put this blue. Sorry, my mouse is not clicking right. All right. So as we take that club back, we see the immediate come up. Now, this could be a result of you not being able to stay in that exaggerated forward bend because we see how much your shoulders have risen. So I would encourage you to stand a little bit taller, not so bent over. Even though it could be a wedge, it doesn't matter. You gotta find a place where you can maintain your posture. And then if you need club length to match that, that's where you get fitted for clubs. But we can see the top of the swing, the left arm should be perpendicular to that lower plane line. And we can see how much lower it is because things work their way around. I have been chunking a lot and I've been using stacking. So James, is this you? Did I get the wrong? Let me know if this is you, James. And then from here, we come on down. He does a decent job of keeping it in the slot, but there's just not a lot behind it. And as we strike it, we stand up. We've lost a lot of posture. So, again, this is all setup based. You want to find a setup that's comfortable for you so you can turn and tilt. Tilting is very key. The moment you start losing your tilt, your hands go with that loss. So in other words, if you increase your tilt, let's say your left shoulder's down here, odds are your hands are going to be up here. If you decrease your tilt, odds are your hands are going to be up here because they're just connected to your spine. Your arms are connected to your spine. So if this is your spine angle, this is the plane you're stuck with. So you want to match accordingly. So look at your centerness check and then that first move. So again, same sort of thing we talked about. We need that club to be on that right foot and back. You definitely need some spacing. It looks a little bit too tight here. But as you take that club back, you see you do a decent job here, but the hands are coming up because of that shoulder turn. So your shoulders should be more down, which will bring your hands more inside naturally. But then you want to feel like your hands are fighting that to get it back on top. And this will sync up your club head and your hands together in a decent size. It doesn't have to be right there, but as long as they're there and as long as you stay in your spine angle, then naturally they will go higher. It happens automatically. So you have to look at why your hands are in that position. So, hey, James, hey, perfect. Did I read the right email? Because it says James here and it's Colby. Let me know if that's the right guy. Hopefully I didn't just send some other guys stuff that needs to work. Okay, perfect. All right. So from your face on, hopefully this makes sense to you, James. From your face on, we can see, it's hard to see where that ball position is from this close of a camera work, but we'll just make do with this. We see a very strong, it's not that strong, slightly strong. We see that forward press is a little bit exaggerated for an iron. You see there's your tilting. So we do have a pretty big amount of separation here. What is that separation number? All right, we have 11 degrees. So let's see what happens. How do you compensate that? Yeah, you see the left shoulder comes up. So from this point of view, James, you want to see the club shaft not kind of dissect your head. So it needs to be a little bit higher. And the only way to do that is get your left shoulder to go down and then get your hands to go higher to accommodate that. So this club should be, I know this is a little bit of a weird angle, but you're looking for this club to be slightly above your head. The more above you get, the more connected you are, but the more upright you become. So just be careful, but at the very minimum, you want to be about there. That'll help you out. And then as we come on through, you don't close that gap. So your centerness pretty much stays put. Yeah, so you don't close the gap. So, usually when I see people do this, they close that gap. So your gap should be closed right in the center. So your centeredness to make this work would be here, right? That's basically how you would close that gap. But think about this. Why can't you close that gap if you put it back down to your ball position? I mean, if we extend this line out to here, your ball position's probably back here. So there's no way for you to close that gap. Because if you close that gap, your ball position relative to that closure, it's going to be out over here. So guess what has to fire to hit that golf ball? Hands and arms have to go. So there goes all your power loss. There goes your ankle momentum is gone. So you definitely want to check that ball position, make sure it matches up. Try to shy away from that forward press. If you need forward press, that's okay, but just a little forward press. So if your spine angle's there, forward press to me for an iron is like that. So you definitely want to match these up. Slight forward press for an iron is good, but then you have to make sure that this body needs to move slightly left in your transition, because that shifts your ball position slightly back and you carry that forward press naturally. And then that's where compression happens. But you can't get that done unless you get a good setup so you can tilt effectively, because now you're losing your tilt and you have to either, pull that tilt back down, but then your hands and momentum is going to pull you to make you go steep and out around you. So I hope that makes sense to you. I mean, I know we went over a lot of stuff here. Let's see. I feel like I have very little power. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, good. It's not an easy thing. Anything you do with setup is very awkward because you're so attuned to thinking how you set up is neutral. So if I were to move that, if I'm in here with you in person and I say, okay, I want you to set up with that ball position, more connected to your tilts, get that slight forward press, you're going to feel so unusual that you won't hit the ball well at all. And you have to realize why you won't hit the ball well at all is because your swing has kind of relied on this. I hate to say this, but this poor setup, don't get offended, that it has to learn how to accommodate that poor setup. But if you get a better setup to accommodate your natural ability to stay in your posture and to stay in your tilt relationship, now your hands can develop around a consistent posture. I would imagine that your posture isn't consistent on a routine basis in your whole swing at any one point in time. Because of that forward press, you're going to have to move around a lot. and you could move around inches, you could move around half a foot one way or the other, and your hands are just on a different journey all the time. They have to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to hit this golf ball? Oh, I'm moving this way. I better start firing soon. Or I'm not moving this way. I better start firing now. So they don't have enough static, same body motion. And you need to give your hands and arms that same body motion so then they can learn their part on their own. And I say that because you have to think about them as different entities. Your body's one entity, that's the slow control position. Your hands are there to make up that slow control position if it gets out of whack, or go with the slow control position if it's in good positions. So the more you can put yourself in good positions, the more your hands and arms can learn how to conserve and fire at that same point over and over again. So I'm very, very focused on coming up with a setup every single time that's the exact same. So feet together, step, step, make sure your alignment's correct. Take the time in setup when you practice. Setup is everything. If you don't set up correctly, you're going to be all over the place. And yes, you can get into a groove on the range, and we've all felt this, where we just hit golf balls perfectly for about 5 minutes. And we think, we got this, we got it made. But all we're doing is hitting more golf balls. And in that time, when you hit more golf balls, you are now developing better timing because you're hitting more golf balls. So you can start getting away with murder because your body's all over the place and you can still hit the ball pretty good. And you think, I got this. That's my new swing thought. Let me go play with this. Next day you show up, you got that same swing thought and you hit it like crap. And you wonder, why? I was just hitting it yesterday. I was puring them all day. That's the reason. So don't fall victim to just hitting tons of golf balls because that can be a problem too. That coach she's a +2 handicap. And she did not focus on her setup correctly, and look what it caused her. One little simple change, she gained 10 yards back with her irons, and she's starting to flush it again. So that's all setup based. So hopefully that helps you, James. Hopefully I didn't confuse you there a little bit. How would I send you a clip of mine? Curious how this all works. Hey, Ben, what's up? So what you would do is these are all pre-sent to me, so I can get them on the docket, make sure we got the notes and everything. So if you want to send anything to me, just email me your face on down the line. Here's a good down the line example. So down the line is, try and get the camera so it's matching the foot line because that's the most important thing, and a clear image so we can see the whole path. Good face on is this one. Again, where you want to put the camera right where that ball position is, nice and clear. Don't send me slow-mos if you can. Just let me regular speed because slow-mos on this, if I have to, scan up and down, this is regular speed. It's a lot easier. But slow-mos, it takes forever for me to find the position to swing. And just email it to me. You can go on the YouTube channel, check out the email, but it's info, INFO, at lion, like the animal, golfacademy.com. I just put in the title, YouTube video, whatever, swing analysis. And just let me know in that email, what your issues are, any personal issues you have with your body, any rotation issues, any injuries, what you've experienced, how many lessons have you had? Are you self-taught? When did you start? The more information I have, the better I can do for you. If you just send me a video randomly with no info, I'll still do it, but I won't be able to address any individual concerns. I can just help look at your cause and effect to explain, how your swing works, but without anything there, it's hard for me to help you out. So you can definitely send that anytime you want. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Little to no consistency when I'm striking irons. Thank you. You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Just popped in, and I'm taking some notes on what you're analyzing from what I sent you. Wish I was there when you went live. Was at the gym. Hey, I need to go to the gym more too. I mean, I'm noticing it. Appreciate you so much. I'm excited for perfect. Yeah. So let me know if that works. Hopefully that makes sense when I put you up with Dustin Johnson, and just to see how he compensates with a very similar setup to you and how you compensate to close your gapping down. But if you need more information or need any help, just send me an email. I'm always here for you guys. So no video this Sunday. I'm actually going to my San Diego site to cover one of my coaches. He's going to a wedding. So I won't be here Sundays, which is why we did this emergency stream. So if you guys have any questions right now, just shoot it to me right now while I'm still here. Other than that, I won't be here until next Sunday for our regular Red Light Live. And if we start getting more of these, I'll probably have to do 2 live events a week and then just slowly grow if we can. But if you know anybody that needs this type of stuff, it's free. I don't charge anything. I just want to give back to the golf community. Golf community has been really good to me in my whole career. And it's at least one way I can give back to at least help you out for those that can't afford it or just are running into issues with their golf swing or the golf game. But it doesn't look like I have any questions. So other than that, enjoy yourself. Have a great weekend. I will see you next week when I start uploading videos. I might have a video tomorrow. I might not. Just depends on if I need to travel out there. Here we go. Thank you so much that you got it out of. I appreciate it. You are sick. Hopefully that means good. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Fairways and greens.